the fallout over the last couple days with a lot of the things that Donald Trump has said, a lot of the things that Donald Trump has done, his executive orders, just the first few days of his presidency, gas prices are up, the price of eggs are up. He's not really helping you. He's only having these executive orders and helping people that assaulted police officers on January 6th. The problem, and there are many of them within the Republican Party today, is many of them are cowards. One of those cowards that I think is dumb as a doornail is Tim Burchett, Republican out of Tennessee. He got into it with Jim Acosta in regards to Donald Trump pardoning those serious violent criminals. There were at least 600 of them. He pardoned over 1,500, but there were at least 600 of them that were accused of or convicted of violent crimes like beating police officers, spraying them with bear spray, seditious conspiracy. So Jim Acosta, who I do have a lot of respect for, I think he's a very good journalist, had Tim Burchett on his show. Now, I've always said Tim Burchett is a very, very ignorant, stupid person. And this will prove that. So this is Jim Acosta asking Tim Burchett, do you approve of these pardons? Listen to this.
You're a congressman. You're a member of Congress. You're an elected official. Take a stand.
They were not given due process. I told you if they crossed the line, they were trespassers. Should they rot in jail for the rest of their lives in a federal penitentiary?
Not trespassing, beating police officer, tasing police officers, seditious conspiracy.
What you're forgetting to say is the ones that he didn't release. Why did he not release those? There are several that he did. This blanket thing you're all talking about is not a blanket. It's not a blanket pardon. There were several that he didn't for those very same reasons. Why are you not focusing on them?
Congressman, we're talking about the leader of the Oath Keepers, the leader of the Proud Boys. They should be released from prison?
What about the leader of the FBI? What about the FBI agents that were on the grounds, that were in that mess?
Congressman, the leader of the FBI was not rioting at the Capitol that day and beating up police officers. What happened to backing police officers? Your party has said time and again, we back the blue.
What about all those police officers? What about that? What about his life is like a box of chocolates? I'm sorry, am I wrong, but does Tim Burchett not sound like Forrest Gump?
Life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
Tell me Tim Burchett doesn't sound like Forrest Gump. All due respect to Forrest Gump, by the way. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and Tom Hanks is great. Tim Burchett sounds like an imbecile. What about all those police officers? What about all those Capitol police officers that allowed those insurrectionists in the building? What about them? They're back in there. What about them? What about Joe Biden? What about those pedophiles? What about George Soros? What about poor Jim Acosta?
Life was like a box of chocolates.
Yeah, there you go.
You never know what you're going to get.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Republican Tim Burchett. So poor Jim Acosta had to, again, try to ask Burchett if he would answer the question. I have to deal with this with the MAGA people who call into the show every day. Here's Jim Acosta again, trying to get Tim Burchett to answer the question.
Hey, all you've done is what we're doing at CNN. We didn't storm the Capitol. These people did. And President Trump let them out of jail. Why not just say, you were wrong, Mr. President? Say it. Why can't you say it?
Jim, as I said, individually, I don't know the case. We had riots where towns were burning down, and they were allowed to do it. They were allowed to do it, and you all did not. Oh, you covered it, Jim. Come on, Jim.
All day
you gave it the bare modicum of coverage, and then you went on to trash Trump or some conservative cause.
I was at the White House covering the first Trump administration when they had rioting outside of the White House. I mean, that was covered on CNN. What you're saying, this is not Fox, Congressman. You can't just spin a tail and pull the wool over people's eyes.
Yeah.
This is CNN. This is the news.
Life was like a box of chocolates.
Oh.
You never know what you're going to get.
Yes, that's right, Forrest. Also known as Tim Burchett. Individually, I don't know the cases. But Mr. Burchett, we're playing you the video as you speak. They beat police officers. I don't know the case. I'm sorry. I don't know it individually. Mr. Burchett, you were there that day. You saw them assault people that day. You've seen the video. I don't know the cases individually. Sounds like Pam Bondi. I'm sorry. I'm not familiar with that. All of a sudden, they're not familiar with it, but they want to talk about Hunter Biden's laptop, these idiots. Oh, and it goes on because the Republican Party wants to say they back the blue, right? They back the blue. They back police officers, right? The party of back the blue. Well, whatever happened to that, Jim Acosta says?
Went to jail, and then the president let them out of jail. And all I'm asking is for you to say that if you feel it's wrong, say it's wrong.
That's the key. They did go to jail. And under these Soros-backed DAs all across the country, these people are walking for much more heinous crimes than this.
What? I'm going to blame George Soros, who had nothing to do with January 6th or these pardons, but it's all George Soros's fault because life is like a box of chocolates. I mean, it's just, ladies and gentlemen, it's sad that there are Republicans in office today, and they know that this is wrong. They know, but yet they can't stand up to their orange orangutan leader and say, you shouldn't have done this. Listen, if you wanted to pardon all the people that weren't convicted of violent crimes, even though I wouldn't necessarily agree with it, I really probably wouldn't be talking about it, right? We're talking about those who specifically beat police officers. And what they do is they want to talk about BLM. They want to talk about Joe Biden's pardons, which, by the way, I have criticized the last several days. I have. But Tim Burchett doesn't want to answer the direct question.